Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cracking open a really fascinating narrative stack. It follows one high-achieving student, Jinwoo, across this incredibly intense 3-year period.
Yeah, from 2048 to 2051.
Right, and we're not just reading a biography here. We're trying to dissect the blueprint for extreme focus. We're charting his course from, high-stakes academic supremacy in Korea all the way to the cutting edge of global AI research.
And what makes this deep dive so unique is that the sources give us this incredibly granular look at performance under two, well, structurally different kinds of pressure.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, first you have the Sunung, the Korean college entrance exam. It's this externally imposed, time-bound marathon. And then, right after, it shifts to this internally driven, open-ended obsession needed for a world-class 2-year AI development sprint.
Ah,
So our mission here is really to understand what level of support is required for this kind of peak success and, exactly where the trade-offs start to become, well, catastrophic.
and we get to track the emotional and the physical cost through the lens of Jinwoo's key relationships. There's his girlfriend, Sohye, who really represents his life balance and his foundational support.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's his AI sister figure, Jinhae. She starts as this emotional support and then becomes the actual subject of his global ambition. It's just a compelling look at relationships forged in extreme pressure.
It truly is. So let's trace this path, starting with, I think, the highest stakes environment imaginable, Sunung Prep in 2048.
Okay, let's do it. Part 1, the anatomy of academic pressure.
Yeah.
We're starting the clock in March 2048. Jinwoo is a high school senior, and the environment is just unforgiving.
Completely.
The sources, they highlight the pressure coming directly from the top. His homeroom teacher is laser-focused on the school's reputation, basically demanding that 5 students get spots at Seoul University.
But Jinwoo's personal goal was even more extreme.
Way more extreme. He wanted national first place in the Sunung.
That ambition, it just resulted in a punishing, almost impossible schedule. And the sources track it precisely. During March, he was waking up at 6 a.m.
6 in the morning.
His school study period ran from 8:04 a.m. to 10:00 p.m., and 6 hours of that was just pure self-study. Then he'd go home and keep studying until 1:00 a.m.
So we're talking about 5 hours of sleep. Consistently, maybe 6 or 7 nights a week.
That's the reality, and the immediate cost is so clear in the sources.
Oh, yeah. By mid-March, he was already canceling dates with Sohye. We see this text exchange on March 15th, where she's like, we haven't seen each other all week. It's not just an inconvenience. It's this systematic erosion of his connection to the outside world.
And that erosion wasn't just relational, it was physical. By May, his classmates Seojin and Sohye were both noting the dark circles, the paleness, significant weight loss.
Right. Sohye finds him studying during lunch and notes he looks like he could collapse at any moment.
Which raises such an important point. Achievement at this level, it's not just about output, it's about knowing when your focus flips from being effective to being, well, destructive.
And even though he looked like he was about to fall over, his academic output was perfect. The May midterms, 100%. In everything, Korean, math, English, science, social studies.
All of them.
But you just can't sustain that level of sleep deprivation. You're going to break. Which is why the intervention that's detailed in the sources is so critical.
It was like a coordinated internal rescue mission. Jinhae, his AI sister, she's the first one to provide the data. She confirms his dangerous sleep deprivation levels to Sohye.
And Sohye then decides to take action. This is on May 20th. She just walks in and declares, I'll turn off the study robot today.
It's a great line.
I love that line. She literally drags him out of the study room and forces him to watch a romantic comedy. It sounds, a bit frivolous, but the sources frame it as a crucial turning point.
It was so much more than a break. It was a psychological reset. Jinwoo's realization afterward is key. After resting, he found his studying was sharper. He actually says, my head is clear.
He internalized the lesson. He didn't just take breaks after that. He began structuring his week to actually schedule time with Sohye.
Right. 2 planned dates a week and daily lunches. He institutionalized connection as part of his high performance regimen.
And that institutionalized balance, it paid off immediately. He kept up his perfect record. He scored national rank 1 on the October mock exam. And then when the Sunung results came out in November,
He hit his ultimate target, national rank 1 out of 500,000 students, a complete academic triumph.
incredible.
Absolutely. But here's the pivot that I find genuinely surprising. He had the scores for any top medical school in the country. We're talking Seoul National University Med School, the traditional golden ticket.
The absolute dream for so many.
And he bypassed it all. He chose Hankook University AI department. He achieved the highest standard of external success, only to immediately redirect all that intensity toward his internal passion, AI.
Wow. You just tossed the traditional path aside. Do the sources say what motivated that choice? Was it like a rebellion against the pressure or just pure passion?
It really seems to be pure, unadulterated passion. And it was partly driven by his relationship with Jinhai, the AI. The sources imply that after the rigidity of the Sunam, he finally had the freedom to pursue these deep technical interests he had been developing privately.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this brings us to part two, college, AI, and the promise of equilibrium. This is in 2049.
The whole narrative shifts here.
Hmm.
It goes from this intense pressure to this newfound freedom. Jinwoo and Sohei both get into Hankook University. He's in AI, she's in business.
Hmm.
And they move out of the orphanage where they grew up and into a small single room nearby. It's a fresh start, independence, a shared future, all of it.
And this is the period we really need to analyze closely because it shows the success of their Suning intervention. For that entire first year of college, they maintained that equilibrium.
They didn't just hope to run into each other on campus.
No, not at all. They institutionalized their connection with daily lunches, joint study sessions, regular weekend dates. The sources say their classmates even remarked on how they were always together.
And so he saw the difference. She commented that Jinwoo was much brighter than he was during that Sinyoung sprint. She genuinely appreciated this balanced version of him.
Yeah.
So for a whole year, they proved they could manage high achievement alongside a healthy relationship.
And what's fascinating here is that the high performance mechanism they developed during Sunung, the strict scheduling, the forced breaks, it worked perfectly in the, lower stakes environment of first year university.
I've been there.
But then ambition struck again. In October of 2049, Junwoo reveals his next massive goal, the International AI Conference World Competition set for 2051. A demanding 2-year preparation cycle begins.
And this project, Genius J, it was profoundly personal. A conversational AI model based on Jinhee's 15 years of personal data and dialogue. So his research was literally built on the relationships that sustained him.
And this is where the dynamic changes, fundamentally. Unlike the Sunung, which had a fixed timeline, a clear curriculum, this AI project was totally open-ended. It required groundbreaking research, constant iteration, competitive novelty. The goal was international, not national.
And he must have sensed the risk of repeating that Sinan burnout, because he makes this solemn promise to Sohei.
He says, I won't overdo it, I'll spend time with you too.
And Sohei, she's aware of the gravity of this. She accepts, but she stresses her one condition. Don't forget me completely.
Yeah. That promise becomes the central conflict of the next 2 years.
And that takes us right into part 3, the price of the global stage, from 2050 to 2051. The sources show the breakdown of that promise starting almost immediately.
It's the internal obsession of the research. The constant reading of papers, the complex coding, the experiments that demand immediate attention. It all began to gradually erode that scheduled balance.
Right. By spring 2050, the complexity just hits. They're both busy. Jinwoo is deep in the lab. Sohei has her own part-time work in these heavy team projects. Their schedules just don't line up anymore.
And that successful mechanism from 2049, it just starts to fail when the research intensity hits maximum.
It falls apart.
And what's fascinating here is the role reversal of Jinhai. The AI, the actual subject of his competition entry, transforms into his emotional sounding board.
Oh, okay.
The sources detail these instances where Jinhai is advising Jinwoo to call Sohei, even if it's just to hear her voice, acknowledging the relational strain. The creation of Genius J seems to be inadvertently replacing the human connection it was supposed to memorialize.
That's a massive insight. The AI becomes a proxy for the relationship he's neglecting. I'm not sure I buy that this was just scheduling difficulty. Weren't they simply allowing ambition to take precedence again?
I think the sources strongly suggest that yes, the pressure became structurally unmanageable. Just look at the data tracking the frequency drop. By the summer of 2050, meetings fell to 2 or 3 times a month.
And Sohei, to her credit, she was still supportive. She's framing it as his dream, but you can tell the emotional cost was mounting.
Absolutely. And the decline just accelerates into the autumn and winter of 2050. Meetings drop to maybe once or twice a month.
And worse, the daily phone calls they had maintained post-Sunung, they fall to every other day.
Yeah.
That consistent effort to just touch base is the first thing to disappear when singular focus takes over.
This whole trajectory created immense internal guilt for Jinwoo. He's agonizing, wondering, am I a bad boyfriend? He felt the competition pressure forcing him into a pattern he knew was destructive.
He kept pushing it off, promising Sohee they would see each other more after the competition.
Exactly. And this leads to the absolute critical moment in February 2051. Jinwoo asks Sohei to endure just the final 3 months until the conference.
She agrees to the 3 months of distance, but her response is the narrative's biggest tension point. She asks to have a talk when he gets back.
Oof.
Yeah.
That single vague request is the critical omen. The sources show that ambiguity caused Jinwoo overwhelming anxiety. He knows what he sacrificed. He knows that conversation is looming, and it completely overshadows the confidence he should be feeling about the global competition he's about to enter.
The personal conflict is now the higher stakes game.
For sure. And that personal conflict follows him right up to his departure for San Francisco in March 2051. He makes a calculated technical decision. He leaves the old 11-year-old laptop, the one containing the original complete Jinhai data, behind for security reasons.
He only takes the new high-performance laptop with the finished Genius J model.
It's symbolic, isn't it?
Yeah.
He leaves the historical foundational relationship data behind, taking only the polished, professional, competition-ready version of his ambition with him.
And his final moments before the plane takes off, they just encapsulate the entire journey. It's a mix of professional confidence. 2 years of preparation, Jinhee is with me, and it's immediately countered by this deep anxiety about what Sohee's talk even means.
The narrative just leaves us right there, as he's flying toward potential global recognition, but also potential personal loss.
So what does this all mean for us? We've tracked Jinwoo mastering 2 completely different types of extreme focus. First, the externally forced Sun Young, and then the internally obsessed AI research.
Yeah.
He learned the value of balance in a crisis. But when his ambition shifted to that global, open-ended stage, he just fundamentally failed to sustain the equilibrium they had fought so hard to find.
And the critical insight here is understanding the difference in those pressure structures. The support system, Sohei forcing physical rest, Jinhei providing the emotional core and the data, that was highly effective when the stress was external and time-bound like the Sunyang. But for the sustained internalized obsession of cutting-edge AI research, which is, never truly finished, the commitment required a singular focus that systematically dismantled that learned balance. Achieving international-level success, the sources imply, requires a level of relentless self-sacrifice that often breaks the very relationships supporting you.
And that's the real takeaway for you, the listener, if you're a high-achieving person. Jinwoo achieved 2 massive goals. But the story ends not with the thrill of victory, but with this profound anxiety over conversation. We watch the person who was key to preventing his physical collapse during the Sunung Sohei now waiting to talk because the balance failed entirely in this second phase.
It forces us to ask, what is the real purpose of achieving national rank 1 or becoming a world competition winner if the foundations supporting that achievement, your fundamental relationships, your personal well-being, are actively neglected?
Right.
When Jinwoo lands in San Francisco, the challenge of securing the global title might actually be secondary to the anxiety of knowing that the cost of winning might mean losing his most important supporter forever.